Hello guys, welcome back to Lexalexus. We're carrying on today with our score predictions. We've made it to week 22. As always guys, with normal proceedings, please make sure you leave your score predictions in the comments down below if you guys want to enter for some points in the Lexalexus Football Prediction League. I did post a latest update on the Prediction League on my latest community tab. Lots of changes going around in the table as well, but it's fiercely competitive and I do deeply encourage you to leave your predictions, also just for a little bit of fun. I always enjoy reading all of your guys' opinions and all of your predictions too. If you guys like what we see, please smash the like button. It'll be great if we can get to 50 likes. I'll be absolutely appreciated. Please do hit the subscribe button too, as we're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers. Each time you do that, it really does help. And please share the channel too. All three of these things are free to do and they really are massively appreciated. But without any further ado, let's start predicting week 22 of the Championship. Start things off with Luton going up against Derby County. Both of these sides have been really heavy at home, but have not been particularly strong away from home. So when I'm looking at this game, I am seeing Luton as the team that I am favouring towards. Derby are coming off the back of an unbelievable performance against Portsmouth. A 4-0 home victory is an absolutely amazing feat for this Derby County side. It was certainly a result I did not see coming, but fair play to them. They really worked for it, and I was so impressed actually with our entire performance. That first half performance, they were absolutely ruthless, and they fully deserved all their flowers for that. Luton were involved in a 2-0 defeat to Blackburn. They weren't particularly amazing in that one, but like I said, I am typically more impressed with Luton in their home games, and I do think that may continue here actually. Derby on the road have come unstuck plenty of times, and as a prediction, I think I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Luton Town. I think it's going to be a pretty close one, but I do sense that this is going to be certainly a game that I will rely on set pieces, I'd say. Both sides have been very strong in that area this season, but I do think with the home form of Luton, I think it will just edge out for Derby. Next game, we see Hull going up against Swansea City. Hull were involved in a sort of relegation 6-pointer as you were against Coventry. They lost out in the end and lost by 2-1. Pretty devastating in the way, but they did lose it in the end. And still, they have not really had the kick on which I thought Hull would have been wanting with Ruben Sellers coming in. Their confidence is still not looking particularly great, especially going forward. And their home games are going to have to be really crucial now. With this quick turnaround of games going into the new year, if they struggle to win any of those games, the gap between them and staying up is just going to get massive and more bigger, you know, for each game that occurs, and they do not want to be going catch up for the entire new year. Swansea, of course, were involved in a pretty hectic game, probably the game of that last weekend, with a 2-goal lead, but a 3-goal comeback in the way of Sunderland. Do I sense that it was Swansea thrown it away? I don't actually believe so. I thought both actually Sunderland and Swansea played really well, and I think it was more or less the case where Swansea bossed the first half, but then Sunderland really started turning the screw later on in the game, and it was a really entertaining game to watch actually. And I do think with this game here, I think Swansea are going to be very determined to get a result. I'm hoping Hull can put up a good fight here, but as a prediction, I think I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory to Swansea. I think they are the strongest side out of the two at the moment, and they have been putting some good away performances recently, so I'm going to go for a narrow Swansea win. Next up, we see Portsmouth going up against Coventry. Very contrasting results from the two. I've already spoken about both of these sides as well. So Portsmouth, as I said, were involved in that 4-0 defeat to Derby, and it was a result that kind of came out of the blue because Portsmouth had been stringing a good consistent run of performances and games together, but certainly this result was a bit of a spanner of the works, and it has made me reassess, are Portsmouth actually recovering within their season? But looking at their home book, and they're doing really, really well at the moment. You know, the form book would tell you that they're doing quite well at the moment. Coventry, I think, are doing okay with Frank Lampard coming in. He's now picked up 2 wins in his first 4 games as manager, picking up 7 points out of a possible 12. This game, though, I think will be really, really tough one. I do think Coventry have the ability of getting a result. They have got an away win under Frank Lampard, beating Mill by 1-0. But I think this game here, knowing how strong Portsmouth are at Fratton Park, I think it will be a narrow win for Pompey. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Portsmouth. So lots of 2-1s at the moment, but I'm just thinking these games are going to be really, really tight. And I think with the half-12 kickoffs being low scoring, I'm going to go for another low score line here in this one. But I think it'll be pretty close. Next up, we see Sheffield Wednesday going up against Stoke City. Stoke, in particular, I'm a little bit worried about with their recent form. They've not won in their last 7. And they are only within a matter of points above the bottom 3. And with the bottom 3 sort of picking up points at a pretty consistent rate, now's the time that they really need to start trying to get more points. Actually gain some pressure for sure. And has not really had the kick on that I think Stoke fans were wanting for after the very, very eye-turning move of dismissing Steven Schumacher the way that they did. For Stoke, it could have been an absolutely devastating last game and could have lost to Cardiff, but Ben Gibson with a late equaliser after scoring an own goal himself to give Cardiff a lead. He went from 0 to hero in that moment there, and ultimately it did end as a draw. Sheffield Wednesday, I've been a little bit more impressed with their away outings quite recently. I think at home where they have actually drawn their last 2, I don't think they were particularly impressive in those games. So I do think Sheffield Wednesday are due to try and perform well at home, and I think based on their recent performances, I do back Sheffield Wednesday a little bit more based on their confidence and the reliability that they'll have with their players. I think as a prediction, I'm going to go for a narrow, low-scoring 1-0 victory to Sheffield Wednesday. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game, and I think it will be in the favour of the home side. Next up, we see Burnley and Watford. Both are going into this game actually with really positive results for both of them last time around. Burnley was very, very impressed actually with the way that they recovered, getting that victory against Norwich from coming from behind. Even better on their part as well. And what themselves, they've done well as well for dismissing what was a really strong unbeaten run from West Brom to win at Vicarage Road. And I'm a little bit frustrated myself that I didn't back Watford because they have proven that they are very, very strong. Now, away from home, I don't think Watford are just as strong as their home form, but they have shown glimpses of improvements away from home. But whilst Burnley, I think, on the whole, have actually been better away from home than they have been at Turf Moor. Whilst they've not lost in Turf Moor, they've drawn so many games at home, actually. I sense that this one will actually be very low scoring as well. But I have a sneaky feeling that Burnley could get 3 points here. And I'm going to go for a 1-0 victory here. Low scoring. Could easily be a 1-1 or a 0-0, but I'm just going to back Burnley here. I think they've got the resources. I mean, if Zion Fleming scores anything similar like he did last time, then ultimately I don't think any goalkeeper's really going to be getting their hands on any of those shots. So I do think it will be Burnley's game to win. Let me know what you think, though, in the comments down below. I think this one's going to be a pretty tight game. Next up is Cardiff going up against Sheffield United. This is certainly a game that Cardiff would not have wanted, and Cardiff was so close to getting a really crucial 3 points in the way that they would have got it, but that Ben Gibson equaliser really was a sucker punch for Cardiff, and that would have been a crucial win to not only drag themselves out of the bottom 3, but to get one against your relegation rivals. It would have been a boost to their season, but I have to settle for the draw. I thought there was an improved performance for Cardiff, but they're now facing for what, in my opinion, is the best team in the league in Sheffield United. With Sheffield United, I don't think they were impressive against Plymouth. I think they were played, actually, I would dare say, in the second gear, rather even than the third or fourth gear. But Sheffield United have shown that they can still not particularly play at their best, and they're still able to get a beneficial result. But they might count themselves lucky at a couple of times, because they did concede some pretty big chances against Plymouth, actually. Prediction here, I think Sheffield United are going to go back strong and go back to winning ways here, alongside with their previous game. I think this is just going to be a test too far for Cardiff, unless they could pull something off. I see this ending in a clean sheet for Sheffield United. I'm going to go for a 2-0 away victory to Sheffield United. I think it'll be moderately comfortable in this game, in my opinion. Next up, we've got Leeds and Oxford United, and this will be the first game in the Championship that Oxford would play without their manager, Des Buckingham. They are going to be managing this going to this game. He was dismissed after Oxford lost against Sheffield Wednesday last time around by 3-1. Did take the lead in that game as well, but again, whilst they do have some good form within them, they also got a knack of conceding too many goals, and that was what happened in that game there. Leeds scoring goals a little bit for fun at the moment, but the last game against Preston wasn't particularly impressive. They had to rely on a last-minute equaliser, and I think it was an own goal in the end as well, which ultimately is a sucker punch for Preston. It would have been a really, really good result to get 3 points, but I think they would have taken a point before that game as well, so I can also see Preston fans taking a point too. I think with Leeds going back to Ellen Road, where they scored so many goals, I think it's going to be a very difficult one for Oxford. I can't lie. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 3-0 victory to Leeds, but honestly, I think it could even be more. But I'll pay Oxford a little bit of respect, and I don't think they'll detriment their goal difference too much, I'd say. So I'm going to go for 3-0 for Leeds. Let me know what scoreline you're predicting as well. I think we can see a good variety of scorelines in this one. Next is Millwall going up against Blackburn. Talking about another side who won't have a first team manager, it is Millwall, because obviously Neil Harris left in Millwall's last game against Middlesbrough. It was a pretty uninspiring one, a 1-0 defeat in the hands of Middlesbrough there. And Middlesbrough, I think, were confident and composed, but they certainly, didn't go for the kill for Mill there. And Mill's form has not been particularly great at the moment, with stark contrast to Blackburn Rovers, who've won 6 in a row, and they are doing absolutely amazingly in the Championship at the moment. The consistency that they're showing is so difficult for a league as competitive as that, and they're doing brilliantly here, but this is a difficult one for me to predict, because of course Millwall, without Neil Harris, is there going to be some form of a positive response or a negative response? It's really, really hard to say. I think, as a prediction, I think the safe bet will actually to predict another Blackburn win, but to get 7 in a row is insane, isn't it? I'm going to compromise with a draw. I can see this game ending in a draw, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here. I do think it's going to be very, very close, though. Next up, we've got Plymouth and Middlesbrough. I seem to remember the last game at home park between these two was really, really entertaining and lots of goals being scored. And I do think we could see something like this here. Middlesbrough score goals a lot away from home, but Plymouth at home park have been scoring plenty of goals as well. It's just a shame for them that they've not really used that to utilising points, and they have conceded the most goals in the league so far this season. I think them and Oxford are going to be currently within the top 2 who have conceded the most goals, especially with Oxford's recent decline. But Plymouth have also been really shipping some goals quite recently, so I do sense that this game's going to be very high scoring. But who will favour who? Because Plymouth have picked up so many of their points from home games this season. They could easily do some here, but I'm going to go for a 3-2 mad game at home park. I think it was 3-3 last year, but I sense Middlesbrough just have that little bit more firepower and have got a little bit more confidence within their squad. And I thought, with the way how effectively Swansea dealt with it, I think Middlesbrough are also capable of doing the same there as well. Next up, we've got QPR versus Preston. 2 teams in the lower part of the table, but not really now facing too much stress within the relegation picture at the moment, because QPR have been picking up a good upturn in form at just the right time in the season, where the games are coming pretty thick and fast. QPR have earned a point against Bristol City, where I've got to be saying they were dominated for most of that game, but the fact that they took a point still is really, really good, but they're finding a way to get these important points now. Leeds themselves picked up a 1-1 draw as well, but I actually say they earned this draw a little bit more than what QPR did, because I felt they took the lead against Leeds very early on and actually kept the lead for a lot of that game. But unfortunately, the pressure just couldn't sustain for the whole game. And whilst they will probably have taken a point at the start, it's so close to get 3 points for Preston. And I think here, I think it was going to be an interesting contest, but I could see this game ending in a draw. I think both sides have got some really good things going for them at the moment. Preston, away from home, have improved. QPR now know how to win at home, so ultimately it's anyone's game. But I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I've not predicted too many draws so far today. I think this one is screaming for one, so I'm going to go for a draw with this game. Next up is Sunderland going up against Norwich City. Very different results for both of these sides. So Norwich, of course, were involved in a defeat against Burnley where they did take the lead pretty early on, but they couldn't sustain the pressure for the second half, and Burnley really turned the game on its head when they needed to. That Simon Fleming goal really, I think, shocked the whole stadium for how good that was. And Burnley just kept probing, they kept going, and eventually Norwich's backline did breach, and I still think defending-wise, it is still a little bit of a problem. Sunderland, they were involved in an impressive comeback against Swansea. Swansea's form has been very strong, and to complete a 2-goal comeback against any side is impressive. And Sunderland have definitely shown a real strength of character to do that, but one thing I have seen with Sunderland, they're not really making their games easy for themselves, and they are dropping points pretty consistently at the moment. So my question here with this one, with them being in the Stadium of Light, I think it's likely that they will get at least a draw, but could they have enough within them to get for a win here? So I do think Norwich are still not going to be full strength, and I think Sunderland, with them being at home and the confidence they would have gone for their last game, I think I'm going to edge for them to win. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Sunderland, but this game, I think, is going to have a lot of really good action in this one. And our final game is West Brom going up against Bristol City. Both sides with a disappointing result last weekend, actually. So West Brom had a good unbeaten run stretching to over 10 games, but it did end in the hands, of course, to Watford, losing by 2-1. So, I mean, with that one, I think it was a pretty interesting encounter, actually, but what it had shown is that Watford are going to be a real force at their home ground. Bristol City, they'll feel very frustrated that they didn't pick up 3 points against QPR because they played really well, but ultimately they weren't clinical to kill the game, and that because of that, they didn't win, and that's ultimately what happens when you don't take your chances. Bristol City are proving to be a bit of an inconsistent side. When they get a good result, they just follow it up with a below par performance. So they are certainly going around that mid-table region, actually, which is starting to form a little bit regarding the Championship. But this game here, I think, is going to be an interesting encounter. I think Bristol City have been doing moderately okay against the teams around them. I think each time they have played against teams around them, they've either picked up a positive result or they've been just short of getting a really good result. So I'm going to go for a decent result for Bristol City. I'm going to say it's going to end as a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this game. But honestly, who knows what can happen? You know, maybe West Brom will never go to their draw antics again. I'm predicting that they will. But let me know what you think as well in the comments down below. So guys, that is the end of my score predictions. I can't lie, this video absolutely flew by for me. I don't know about you. If you guys did enjoy, please smash the like button. Please do hit the subscribe button. And please share as well if you can. It really does help. And as always, guys, to get you guys involved, please make sure you leave a comment in the comments down below. And feel free to comment your score predictions as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw any of this video. And as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.